over the country and for such a long period of time now at a high level that you've come across so many other high-level players, legends or just maybe they're not legends, maybe they're just a little unknown. But people, like, who are the people throughout your journey that have kind of stood out to you as either great players or unique challenges that you had to figure out how to either beat or that you've played with? What is kind of the sphere of influence that these people have had on you?
Obviously fun to think about when you get these relationships and you've played so many high-level matches against so many great players and great people. So to start, my idol, especially in like the transition into grass, was Mike Michelau.
Yeah.
So
good choice.
That season of 2018-ish, he, Bob, and Smo had run train really in the Wisconsin scene, and just seeing him flow and move with so much grace and athleticism. And he and I had met in high school. He also was basketball first and then made the conversion over to volleyball, which then became his college career. So he was always a mentor to me back then. So when I want to go see what I would look like in the grass, I would compare myself to Mike. So I would watch him live, I would have mine recorded, I would watch me back, and I'd compare myself. Why is he able to hit harder? Why can he hit more consistently? Why does he block this ball or dig this ball and I'm not? So that's where it all started. And then
what were the elements of his game that stood out to you?
Well, I'll call it like athleticism and grace, but it's almost like the cleanliness in movement in transition.
Yeah, he's super smooth.
Even if there's a huge wind gust, he can float and he will do the footwork correct to get to the ball, and just comfortable taking up a high range. So having the comfortability to trust the form, even when you have that much court to cover. Coming from indoor, there's 6 of you.
Right.
You got to be good on this space here. You go to grass, you got to be good over there. You got to be good over there. So, like, seeing him do that with the same type of movement was what I would try to emulate.
Yeah, I think to me the one thing that's really stood out about Michelau for as long as I've known and played against him is that he's able to keep the ball in front of him really well as an attacker, so that he can decide really late where he's going to hit the ball. Against some players, you can dive angle, dive line as a blocker and kind of get some. But I feel like against Michelau, the diving element is really unsuccessful because it's very easy for him to see it and then just hit away from you after you make that move. And so I've always found it frustrating to block against him until I was like, well, you know what, I'm just going to go line up on him and be big and force him to change.
Trust the rest of your guys.
Right.
You can't defend everything with someone with that vision.
Right.
And like the other thing that was probably a first part of my game in grass that's still kind of a bread and butter is like the high six. If someone blocks angle on me and the defenders split, having the comfortability to go 80% speed and really calibrate it to the back line where it's too far for each of the diggers, except for Chase Frischman, he gets there. And you can go over the block. So seeing Mike hit that shot.
Is that something like is probably open most of the time, or how often are you actually seeing that opening as you're approaching or hitting?
That's a good question. So a lot of people might feel the block and they might go over the block because most defenders don't double up and they would go away from the block. But for me, it was always seeing the defenders bolt sideways, and if that middle back starts to dive hard to the line, I know I had them beat. So for me, it was playing the diggers and knowing that if I keep it high enough, the block isn't going to matter. So having comfortability with the workouts I'd done, jumping rope, squatting, deadlifting, to where even as 6 foot, nothing, and like the same thing for you, feeling comfortable, just like I'm going to be big enough that when I see that, I can trust it, is huge.